Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Biblical Stories channel. Today, I bring you something truly fascinating. Have you ever stopped to think about what Jesus' childhood was like? We know well about his adult phase and his miracles, but there is a little explored period, shrouded in mystery and supernatural events. The deeds he performed even as a child. Imagine a boy capable of giving life to clay birds or even bringing back children who had died. Surprising stories preserved in ancient texts that make us rethink everything we knew about Jesus' journey. You might be wondering, why don't we hear about these miracles in the Gospels we know? What else was left out? Get ready to embark on a journey into the past, discovering 10 miracles from Jesus' childhood that few know. Each new account will spark your imagination, and I guarantee you won't be able to stop watching until the very end. It's an incredible opportunity to learn more about the divine nature that was already manifest in Jesus from a very young age. Before we begin this adventure, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. Together, we will uncover little-known biblical accounts and dive into secrets that have spanned centuries. I'm sure you'll love learning every detail of these extraordinary events. Miracle 1: molding clay birds and giving them life. There is an intriguing account that describes Jesus when he was around 5 years old, playing by a stream on a Saturday. With patience and creativity, he molded 12 clay birds, catching the attention of the other children present. Then, with a simple gesture, he blew on the small sculptures, giving them life. In a few moments, the birds took flight, filling the air with their joyful songs. Some adults, upon witnessing the scene, were displeased, as they considered this a form of work on a sacred day. However, their indignation soon turned to astonishment as they witnessed such an extraordinary sign. According to the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, chapter 2, this passage demonstrates Jesus' divine power from childhood, revealing a creative ability that echoes the divine act of creation. Although this miracle does not appear in the Gospels we know, it serves as a reminder that, even as a child, Jesus already manifested traits of his sacred and creative nature. Miracle 2: drying up a pool of water. On one occasion, Jesus was playing near a stream, building small clay pools to store water. He showed skill in shaping every detail, enchanting those who passed by. However, one boy, driven by a bad mood, decided to destroy everything, scattering the water and clay. Upon witnessing this, Jesus uttered a single word, and immediately the water disappeared, leaving the pools completely dry. This account, found in the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, chapter 3, evidences the extraordinary power of Jesus even as a child. Besides controlling nature, he showed that he would not accept injustice without reaction, turning a simple moment of play into a memorable event. This miracle also reminds us that Jesus was always able to use his divine authority to teach valuable lessons about respect and empathy, even in the simplest details of everyday life. Miracle 3: reviving a withered plant. Once, during one of his walks around the village, Jesus came across a completely dried-up plant, showing no sign of life. The scene was striking with its yellowed, fallen leaves, suggesting that the plant would not survive much longer. Moved by compassion, Jesus slowly approached, extended his hand, and, with a simple gesture, touched the withered stem. As the people around watched, intrigued, Jesus spoke a few words. In a matter of seconds, the plant began to regain a livelier color, its leaves rising until they displayed an intense green. It was a moment of great admiration for everyone present. as it wasn't just a simple act of kindness, but a clear demonstration of his power to restore what was lost. Although this account is found in texts not officially recognized as part of the traditional Gospels, it reflects the universal message of renewal that Jesus would convey in his adult life. From childhood, he already manifested the ability to bring hope where there was desolation, showing that the divine presence can reverse even the most desperate situations. This miracle also serves as a symbolic reminder that, in the midst of difficulties, there is the possibility of a new beginning, and that faith can bring life where there was only drought and sorrow. Miracle 4. Healing a boy bitten by a snake. On another day, Jesus and his friends were playing in a field full of vegetation and small animals. Everything was going well until one of his companions, distracted, ended up stepping on a venomous snake that immediately attacked him. The boy began to feel excruciating pain, and those present feared the worst, knowing how dangerous the snakes in that region could be. Upon hearing his friend's cries of agony, Jesus ran to him without hesitation. Observing the bite area where concerning swelling was already visible, he gently touched the wound and offered a fervent prayer, as if speaking with an invisible force that governed the universe. In a few moments, the venom stopped spreading, and the boy's face regained its color, allowing him to breathe with relief. This event, mentioned in the infancy Gospel of Thomas chapter 16, not only surprised the children present, but also the adults who learned of the episode. Even at that young age, Jesus demonstrated the compassion and healing power that would characterize him throughout his earthly mission. Beyond a mere physical cure, this miracle reveals a Jesus who responds promptly to suffering, always ready to protect those who seek his help. It was a small taste of the many healings he would perform in the future, inspiring faith and hope in everyone around him. Miracle 5. Bringing a boy who fell from a roof back to life. On an ordinary day in the quiet village, children were having fun on the rooftops of houses, running and exploring the highest corners. In the blink of an eye, however, joy turned into despair. One of the boys slipped, lost his balance, and fell from a considerable height. The impact was so strong that everyone around feared the worst. The boy's family rushed over and found him unconscious. Amid the crying and sadness, Jesus, still very young, felt deep compassion. Determined to help, he knelt beside the boy, carefully held one of his hands, and, in a firm voice, commanded that the boy be brought back to life. To everyone's surprise, the child began to breathe again and opened his eyes, as if he had simply awakened from a deep sleep. Relief and joy overcame the parents and all those who witnessed the miracle. Even at such a young age, Jesus demonstrated authority over life and death, a foreshadowing of the great works he would perform throughout his ministry, including the resurrection of Lazarus. This episode reinforces the divine power present in Jesus from childhood, reminding us that where he is, there is always the possibility of renewal, comfort, and the restoration of hope. Miracle 6. Healing a man injured by an axe. In a humble carpentry workshop, an experienced worker supported his family by building and repairing furniture. One day, while handling an axe, he got distracted for a moment and ended up seriously injuring his foot. The depth of the cut suggested that the wound could leave permanent scars or even become infected, causing further problems. When Jesus learned of what had happened, he did not hesitate to help. Calmly, he approached the man, examined the injury, and gently touched the affected area while praying softly. The onlookers, a mix of curious and anxious people, watched every movement. In moments, the wound closed in a surprising manner until there was no trace of the cut. The carpenter stood up, tested his foot, and, to his own surprise, felt no pain or difficulty walking. This episode left the community in awe and even more convinced that there was something extraordinary about Jesus. Even in everyday situations, he revealed his power and care for human suffering, healing, and providing comfort. This miracle reinforces the belief that no situation is too simple for Jesus' compassionate gaze, who cares about both major tragedies and routine difficulties. Miracle 7. Resurrecting a boy from a neighboring village. In a nearby small town, the population was gripped by panic as a contagious disease advanced mercilessly, especially among children. Amid the general fear, a boy succumbed to the illness, and grief took over his family's home. The parents, inconsolable, received support from the entire village, but nothing seemed to ease the loss. When Jesus learned of the incident, he immediately went to the house where the boy's body lay. Moved by the pervasive sadness, he knelt beside the child, took his cold hand, and offered a deep prayer. The people around watched in silence with the hesitant hope that something might happen. To everyone's astonishment, the boy opened his eyes and began to breathe again, as if awakening from a deep sleep. Amid tears of joy and gratitude, the family embraced the child, realizing that their pain had transformed into an unprecedented miracle. This wonderful act, found in non-canonical texts, foreshadows the power that Jesus would demonstrate throughout his life, overcoming death and granting relief to the afflicted. The news spread quickly, inspiring admiration and faith even in those who had previously doubted, for there was no rational explanation for what they had witnessed. With this miracle, Jesus showed once again that nothing is impossible in the face of solid faith and a sincere heart. Miracle 8. Restoring sight to a blind boy. In another locality, there was a boy who was born unable to see. He knew the world only through sounds, smells, and touch, never having witnessed the colors and shapes around him. Despite his family's love, the boy dreamed of being able to see his parents' faces, the birds in the sky, and the flowers in the fields. One day, Jesus passed through the region and, upon seeing the boy, felt deep compassion for his condition. He spoke with the family and, full of tenderness, placed his hands on the boy's eyes, uttering words of healing and hope. Almost instantly, the boy began blinking and seeing the first images of his life. Faced with this new reality, he could hardly contain his emotion. He recognized the sunlight, the smiles of his relatives, and every detail he had only imagined before. This miracle, mentioned in ancient texts, reflects Jesus' ability to bring clarity and understanding, both physically and spiritually. The scene of the blind boy who begins to see symbolically illustrates the light that Christ represents, capable of dispelling darkness and opening paths to understanding. For the people of that village, it was an unmistakable sign that Jesus had a mission greater than anyone could suppose, and that his love extended especially to those living in the shadow of suffering and despair. Miracle 9. Freeing his brother James from the poison of a snake. On a day of outdoor play, James, Jesus' brother, was caught off guard by a venomous snake that bit him. The venom spread quickly, leaving James in critical condition. Alarmed, Jesus ran to his brother, grabbed his hand, and offered an intense prayer. Then, as if he had authority over nature itself, he removed all the venom, saving James's life instantly. This event shows Jesus' care even within his own family, highlighting his compassion and divine power. Those who witnessed the scene were impressed by the speed of the healing and realized that, despite his young age, Jesus possessed extraordinary strength, always ready to protect those he loved. For James, this experience became a living proof that Jesus' love and authority could overcome any threat. Miracle 10. Resurrecting a boy, overwhelmed by anger. On another occasion, a neighborhood boy was overcome by fury during a simple game and ended up striking Jesus in an unexpected manner. With no apparent explanation, the boy collapsed to the ground, dead in that instant. His mother, in despair, knelt at Jesus' feet, pleading for him to restore her son's life. Moved by the mother's pain and recognizing the repentance that filled her, Jesus approached the body, spoke words of authority, and brought the boy back to life. This episode highlights not only Jesus' power over death, but also his mercy and willingness to forgive. In a scene of deep emotion, the village people understood that where there is genuine compassion, there is always the chance for a new beginning. These accounts of the miracles of Jesus' childhood come largely from texts known as the Apocryphal Gospels, ancient writings that were not included in the official New Testament. Although most Christian traditions do not adopt them as inspired documents, they offer an engaging glimpse into the curiosity of the earliest Christian communities about the divine nature of Jesus from childhood. In the accepted canonical Gospels, especially in Matthew and Luke, we find few details about that phase of Jesus' life. Matthew 2 recounts the visit of the Magi and the flight into Egypt, while Luke 2:14-40 covers the birth in Bethlehem, the presentation at the temple, and later the story of the 12-year-old Jesus astonishing the teachers in Jerusalem, Luke 2:41-52. Apart from these passages, there is a great silence regarding Jesus' early years, which paved the way for the apocryphal accounts, where stories filled with miraculous events emerge. We have reached the end of this journey through the so-called forgotten miracles of Jesus' childhood. It is fascinating to imagine how, from a very young age, he already demonstrated a power that defied common understanding. Whether protecting his brother, healing the wounded, or even resurrecting those who had died, it is clear that his compassion and divine authority always went hand in hand. But this exploration is just the beginning. There are many other mysteries and surprising stories that we haven't yet covered. If you want to continue discovering incredible and little-known episodes from biblical history, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. That way, you'll be notified whenever we bring new content that challenges what we think we know. Thank you for joining us so far. Stay tuned, as every week we bring new accounts capable of sparking your imagination and expanding your understanding of the Scriptures. Until next time, and remember, where there is curiosity, there is always more to be revealed.